welcome back. And now it's time to go into yet another interview, but this time our guest is in the studio here with us in the person of Bukola Esi, and she is a gospel artist. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you, Dukwe. And thank you so much for having me this morning. It's been such a pleasure coming into the studio. Music is universal. If you're actually able to make your music universal,
yes,
you would, get your message out. And then the way I've approached gospel music is not about just singing
anything,
but it's about the lyrics for me. It's about the message. It's about what does this message make me feel.
I would love to know. Tell us about the gospel or music business, both in Nigeria and out.
Yeah, when you're talking about business, it's a very different thing, When you look, for me as a manager, so that I do business, then when you're talking about gospel, are you doing it for business, or you're doing it for pleasure, or what exactly, or for passion? I remember there was a time, on my on the intro on my social media page, and I wrote, it's written there that people shouldn't take it as just like, it's just passion, but something that is really inspired by God and really needed to go out there. And someone said, yeah, it is just a passion, So you can imagine it comes through like that, but then when you're talking about it is just a passion, you've seen that video, for example.
Yes.
If you were going to produce that video, are you going to say, cameraman, it is just a passion?
You definitely can't do that.
Just do it for me, don't worry. No, you can't. So, you need the finances to be able to put the songs out, and you don't want to put just any songs out, is it?
Yes.
You need to put quality. Because that's the most important thing, that, because at the end of the day, what you want people to gain. Yes, the message is there, but apart from the fact that you've got the message, there's one song, the one I'm doing at the moment is called Nothing Impossible. And, that's a song that is like hip-hoppy and all that, And the thing is, to produce that, you need people around, you need the cast, you need the crew, you need all the resources and everything. So how do you get that? So that's what people should understand, that for anyone to produce anything out there, it is not because, well, you're doing gospel, you shouldn't be making money out of it. Know one thing, that when you say you're a non-for-profit organization, yes, you're a non-for-profit organization, but it doesn't mean that it only means that you're not keeping.
Yes, that's not your primary focus.
You're not keeping, making the banks fat. It's about getting the resources to be able to produce.
Yes.
Because you do need money to actually produce those things you want to put out.
That's it.
Yes, that's actually quite interesting.
Definitely. Yes. Secular, the word is secular industry. They have a lot of issues going on with them in terms of support and the likes, and people coming out on social media to bash each other and the likes. Is it the same way in the gospel industry?
I can't talk about general gospel.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't say I know that much about it, especially when it comes to Nigerian gospel.
Nigerian, yes.
Well, I'll talk about, as an individual, what's your culture? It's just like an organization. You started an organization. What's the culture? Why do you decide to set up what you have to offer in the first instance?
Okay.
Is it because you want people to bash and then you use that for publicity? Because it's done. Yeah, let's be realistic here. That's done. Because you want people to bash you, and then get the publicity that you want, and then they can, there's a lot of that going on. But then it's about the message. It's about giving the rules here. It's just like having a group, social media group, and have a laid down rules. When you're coming in through this door, these are the rules that are expected. Just like where you're working, you've got the house rules. This is what I want.
Yes.
And take me like that. So which means you're having the genuine and original people who really want you and want to listen to your music for what you have to offer, not because people just want to
listen to music.
Listen to music. Like I give out a recent like a quiz or something.
Okay.
And then he wanted people to, okay, have you listened to this song? What have you listened to? What
did you get
What
from
did you
it?
get from it? And then someone say, rain. Yeah, that's not an answer. That shows me that you've just looked at what the other person has said and you've just said the same thing. Not because you're really passionate about it, but because you're seeing a freebie or something. Maybe you think, oh, I'm going to get free music. If you're going to get free music that is not even going to impact you, what's the use of you having it? So you need somebody who's really going to really feel the message. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so still talking about the balance between gospel music and secular music. What is it like being a gospel artist? Even in Nigeria, and I know you said you can't really say much about the Nigerian industry, but even out there, because like we see secular music is very popular.
Yeah.
And like you just hinted, some people may say, you're doing gospel music, so why do you want to make money from it? You know, so what is it like being a gospel artist, and how do people take the gospel artist music, or the gospel music industry?
How do people take it? People who take gospel music, they're different. You know, let's talk about culture. There's cultural difference. When you get out of the country and you're going into another country, you then realize that, you know, like for example, in Africa, no, in Nigeria, let me talk about Nigeria that I know. We would refer to our pastors and say, pastor this, pastor that, deacon this and deacon that. But where I'm living, you call your pastor by name. You know, you sit down with the person and have a yarn. It's not like you treated so differently, but it's not that the respect is not there.
Yes.
So you know that the respect is there. That's and that's really, really good support. But that doesn't make a difference whether you've got the pastor before your name or you don't have the pastor before your name. It doesn't really matter. But that is cultural difference. So when you're in Rome, they say you behave like a Roman. You don't say, yeah, I'm coming from Australia. Why I don't call pastor? Why can't I call pastor here? I mean, why do I have to call pastor here? That's not the case. It's the fact that you are in this country,
okay, like you talked about laid down rules.
Yes, laid down rules. So that's the thing with music as well. You know, what someone might think, oh, it is not, is that gospel? I have a song that I wrote when I was really down. I was really down. Okay. I wrote that song and I got a review. I just got it reviewed in, just general people, international, I don't even know them. Anyway, they reviewed it, they curated it, and then by the time I got the response, there was one person that said, is that a gospel music? It didn't sound like a gospel music, but I like the feel. Do you know what? That made me really happy. Do you know why? Because somebody who's not a Christian, I've had people who are not Christians. Yes. I've had somebody, when I did my music launch, and there was one lady that said, oh, sorry, I didn't make your lunch, I wish I would have made it. I said, that's fine, you can still buy the song. And she said, oh, what sort of song do you sing? You can imagine. Yes. She wasn't really interested in voices. I said, what sort of songs? I said, I sing gospel. She said, I'm not into gospel. It's easier to sell gospel music here. It's where I'm in Australia, it is harder.
It's harder.
Even for you to preach to somebody, it's harder. So she said, I'm not really into gospel music. I said, okay, you can listen to it. So I just played one. And she said, oh, that's gospel? I like to have a jam to that. I want to play that in my car every day. By playing that in her car every day, do you think that one day she will listen to the message or not?
It's going to seep into her. She will. Eventually.
She will get the message. One day, she's not going to be looking at, the groove. She's going to really listen to the message. And that's it. I've had to go and present gospel song in front of people who are not Christians at all. They're all not Christians, and they all stood up and got involved with it. That's the idea. That's my own culture, that I want people to be able to, relate to the songs.
Relate to it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bukola, for coming on the show.
To enjoy more interesting episodes of Tea or Coffee, then like and subscribe.